also I know tonight, January 5th, 2020, we're not going to look back on this night in the history books.
Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision.
The vulnerable will suffer most. We must follow no other course. Every child must be taught these principles. Every citizen must uphold them. Now it is a seed upon the wind, taking root in many nations. We know the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm? This work continues. The story goes on, and an angel still rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm.
So this argument that it's going to go away in the summer is rooted in no evidence whatsoever. And then on top of all that, I see Trump officials at the CDC and the Surgeon General and Homeland Security out there telling people do not prepare, it's bad, while at the same time the US military is buying up every bioprotective suit, every mask they can get their hands on. And Mike Pence announced that they've done a deal with 3M to produce millions of masks a month. If you're going to produce millions of masks, why are you telling people not to get them? So this is a very bizarre, deceptive case where you've got the government preparing like mad, the government buying up food supplies, the government getting the personal protective gear. And you recall a few months ago, the government was buying up every night vision device they could get their hands on. That was right before this thing hit. And at the same time, this government is telling you, the citizens, do not prepare. You don't need any of that stuff. These are not accidents, folks. These releases are deliberate. This will infect every city in America. There will be quarantines, there will be medical martial law. In some cases, starvation, desperation. People dying in their homes, the hospital beds will be overrun. And you are told, do not prepare. Well, if you're dumb enough to believe the media, the official sources, then you might just die from this. But if you're smart, then you will get prepared because you know what's coming. And when you are forced into quarantine in your home or apartment for 30 days or longer, you won't die.
After 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order. And instead, it looks like we got a lot of disorder. We still, and after 9/11, we've been more sensitive.
We begin tonight with the U.S. and Iran on the brink, and the president alerting Congress tonight the U.S. will respond with force if Iran retaliates for the drone strike that killed top Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani. The casket carrying Soleimani's remains arriving in Tehran moments ago after snaking through a sea of mourners in other parts of the country. Today, hundreds of thousands of Iranians were in the streets. In Iran's parliament, chants of death to America. Tehran vowing swift revenge on American soil.
This Fox News alert for you now. President Trump will handle it. That stern warning coming from top U.S. officials as North Korea sends new threats of nuclear war.
Another day in Yemen's bloody war. This exclusive footage was sent to CNN by Houthi rebel-backed Ansarullah Media, showing the aftermath of a direct strike by a Saudi-led coalition plane on Saturday. Local officials say 19 men, women, and children were killed as they attempted to flee the Yemeni port city of Hodeidah, the site of an existential struggle between the US-backed coalition and the Tehran-backed Houthi rebels. As ever in war, the victims are too often innocents caught in the crossfire. Today, the World Food Programme told CNN the number of Yemenis facing famine could rise to nearly 12 million. Making it the worst famine for a century and one that is entirely man-made. The fighting around Hodeida's port and the incessant Saudi-led bombardment, aid agencies say, has created a perfect storm, one that leaves the parties to the conflict and their international backers with blood on their hands. In the US, the drumbeat of criticism among lawmakers is growing across the political aisle.
One of the strong things that we could do is not only stop military sales, not only put sanctions on Saudi Arabia, but most importantly, get out of this terrible, terrible war in Yemen led by the Saudis.
Thank you very much.
In spite of the president's avowed support for Saudi Arabia, including rather large arms sales,
I would not be in favor of stopping a country from spending $110 billion, which is an all-time record.
here in Yemen, they're hoping all the talk will finally result in action.
We're driving through Paradise, California. You can barely see anything, but this is the main drag of town. Several businesses have completely burned to the ground, but a lot of businesses are going to be lost, and hundreds of homes in Paradise and around it are going to be lost as well.
Bushfires in Australia show no signs of abating, leaving a total of 18 people dead so far. This has led to the authorities declaring an emergency once again, the third one in the country. Now, the emergency has been declared for Australia's most populous state as thousands of people evacuate away from bushfire-ravaged towns. The New South Wales Premier has said the declaration would come into effect from Friday morning. The announcement comes after authorities ordered tourists from the New South Wales South Coast to Victoria's East Gippsland to leave the region within a 24-hour period. The latest spate of fires, which raced towards the coast this week, have also destroyed more than 200 homes. As the situation in Australia worsens with each day passing, the government has finally deployed military ships and helicopters to rescue thousands more trapped in the blazes. Navy ships on a mission brought water, food and fuel to towns like Malakuta, where supplies have been mostly depleted and roads cut off by the fires.
17 people killed so far, 18 people missing. 418 million animals estimated dead, including 8,000 koala bears. 12 million acres of land burnt down, 1,400 homes destroyed, 30,000 people without power. A 7-day state of emergency declared in the state of New South Wales. That's where Australia is at. And now we help you understand how and where Australia is dealing with its fiercest fires. The coast of south and east of Australia is where the concentrated fires are at. Over the last 72 hours, fires have been spread across all over Australia. It's a ring of fire, a ring of yellow, if you can see. These are the hot spots over the last 72 hours.
Firefighters, no match for flames this ferocious and this intense.
That curtain of fire igniting palm trees here on the Bolivian-Brazilian border, fueled by wind, the flames leaping across the dry brush.
It's shocking how fast we've seen this fire march. It's moved about 200 yards in the past 5 minutes alone, fueled by this wind. We're going to try to get moving a little bit faster to get out of its way. Keep going.
Geronimo, a rancher here, tells me a tanker dropped water on the fire nearby, but it's no use. He says it's all going to be gone.
There's nothing else to do. We're just going to wait for the fire to pass.
As a cloud of smoke rears up behind his farm, we offer him a ride out, but he insists on staying, certain his cattle will come back. We escape, just as Geronimo's farm and the road are enveloped in impenetrable fire and smoke.
Wow, that entire farm where we were just minutes ago seems to be gone.
It's just one apocalyptic scene amidst a swarm of fires ravaging Brazil and its Amazon rainforest, spilling out into Bolivia, Paraguay, and Peru.
It's the scale of these fires that's absolutely huge. An unprecedented burn of a massive magnitude. We could be losing, in certain areas, as much as 3 soccer fields of jungle every single minute.
Well, it's a swarm of enormous proportions. Desert locusts are eating their way across large parts of East Africa, and it's the worst outbreak some countries there have seen in 70 years. Now, Here are some of the countries that are most affected by those locusts. Somalia, Ethiopia, and Kenya are the worst affected, and Uganda is bracing for an invasion too. Authorities have advised citizens to stock up on food as the insects approach the border with Kenya. Now, researchers say they pose an unprecedented threat to food security in some of the world's most vulnerable countries.
They eat and destroy everything on their way. One swarm measured 60 kilometers long and 40 kilometers wide. Hundreds of thousands of acres of crops destroyed. People fight back with whatever means they have.
We are more than 200 herders here, and we all depend on this land for grazing. Now it will be disastrous if we all perish without getting any help.
The swarms came from Yemen, then down from the Red Sea to the Horn of Africa. The unusual warm temperatures off the coast are partly to blame. The recent heavy rainfall has created the perfect breeding conditions. The greenery that has sprung up is now fueling them. It has almost become a desperate battle.
And it is practically impossible or mockery to intelligence of humankind that this one can be used to control swarms of billions of insects that are destroying our crops and our pasture.
Agriculture is big business in the region. Here, the Kenyan national government is now increasing their efforts and spraying from the air. The swarms are spreading fast, up to 150 kilometers a day. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization is raising the alarm, now calling for international assistance.
It's the worst that we've seen in Ethiopia, in Somalia in 25 years, and the worst that we've seen in Kenya in over 70 years.
The fear is that the locust numbers could increase 500 times in the next few months.
No, you are not crazy. Authorities say there was a 3.8 magnitude earthquake in Campbell County this afternoon. Yes, once again, you're not crazy. It could be felt all across East Tennessee.
The U.S. Geological Survey says this quake ranks in the top 10 magnitude quakes in East Tennessee. Almost 2,000 people reported feeling that tremor so far. You can see them weighing in right there on that map in blue. More than 100 phone calls flooded our newsroom, and thousands of viewers commented on social media about feeling that shake. Those reports span some 130 miles west to east from Cookeville to Dandridge.
Se cayeron edificios. Se cayeron edificios.
Este edificio se movió horrible, horrible. Tronó horrible. Que se salgan, la pared se rompió. Que se salgan. Que se salgan, se va a caer. Se va a caer. Dios mío, Dios mío, Dios mío, Dios mío. Dios mío, Dios mío, Dios mío, Dios mío.
No mames, está cabrón, qué pedo. Pues eso está muy cabrón, güey. No. Mírame la cantidad de edificios que se cayeron. No lo puedo creer. No, impresionante. Pues yo vi uno cayéndose aquí, güey, ahí al ladito. No puede ser.
Don't let yourself be convinced to do something that you know is bad, and then Ian finally just shared with us. Cover your mouth with your shirt. Everybody okay? Okay, stay underneath.
Welcome back. We've been getting reports from all over the North Country.
Dozens of people calling or messaging us saying that they felt the 3.4 magnitude earthquake that the United States Geological Survey just confirmed a short time ago. So right now we're going to check in with Bob Garand, and he's from Moors. He's live on the phone right now. So Bob, thanks so much for joining us. Tell us, what did you feel this morning?
In Turkey, the death toll has risen to at least 29, with nearly 1,500 injured following a powerful earthquake in the east of the country. The quake struck near the town of Sivrice, about 550 kilometers east of the capital, Ankara. It was followed by dozens of aftershocks, some of them almost as strong as the initial quake.
Welcome back. We have breaking news, and this is coming from the U.S. Geological Survey, which says a powerful earthquake, 7.7, has struck south of Cuba and northwest of Jamaica. You see it there is centered in the ocean there, 77 miles northwest of Lucia, Jamaica, and it hit about 11:10 today. The epicenter was a relatively shallow 6 miles beneath the surface. We don't know if there's a tsunami warning that is associated with this at this point. Not clear if there are any damages or injuries. We don't even really know right now. This is so recent as to who might have felt this earthquake. Both countries, one country. The USGS initially reported this at a magnitude of 7.3, but again, a significant earthquake, 7.7, and it was about 6 miles below the surface.